Hello there. So, the so-called pro-Palestine anti-war protesters in Australia turned up in Melbourne, the coastal capital of the state of Victoria, and promptly went to war with the police, including throwing acidic substances and rocks at police horses. But they soon started running when the police got a bit, active with them. And it seems from reports that Melbourne has been suffering from this mob for about a year, and now, at last, the police have decided enough is enough and are taking action. Maybe their authorities are waking up to the real threat out there, and it's not from the far right. And it sounds like the protesters threw rocks, tomatoes, eggs and even low-grade acidic-type chemicals at the police. It even descended into punching police horses. Not a very clever thing to do, that. Thankfully, no animals sustained serious injury, though. And some of these protesters are masked and happily throwing stuff while being filmed. Why is it that Antifa types always wear black with hoodies and masks and get away with infiltrating crowds in such large numbers to start violence? Makes the scant few rioters the far right supposedly had in the UK pale into insignificance. And this was an organised protest by Students for Palestine and Disrupt Wars, reports AP News, with 9 News saying low-level acid, horse manure, rocks, eggs and rotten tomatoes were some of the projectiles fired at officers who responded with rubber bullets, capsicum powder and stun grenades. Capsicum being a form of pepper. And these are not peace protesters, they are anti-Western, anti-Semitic woke communist types who would generally benefit from a meeting with a bar of soap. Now the Green Party has demanded an inquiry into the use of heavy-handed police tactics, with one Green MP, Gabrielle De Vitry, claiming it is often the police who escalates the tensions. The presence of police on horseback firing rubber bullets, the riot squad who are there to intimidate and often hurt peaceful protesters, she said. That's where the real risk to the peace and safety of our communities is. Ah, so that's why the lefty protesters go equipped with such stuff as masks, rotten tomatoes, eggs and acidic substances then, to defend themselves from police brutality. Yeah. And why are they so intent on throwing stuff at the press then, and also mobbing and attacking them, as they appear to have done with Sunrise reporter Tegan Doling? Now this was all about trying to shut down the Land Forces International Land Defence Exposition, an arms sale thing, where it is claimed some convention attendees were also assaulted, leading to the closing of roads and the deployment of the riot police. The Police Chief Commissioner Shane Patton said, "They come here to protest. Anti-war, so presumably anti-violence. The only way I can describe them is a bunch of hypocrites." And the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said, "People have a right to protest peacefully, but you don't say you're opposed to defence equipment by throwing things at police." But the Students for Palestine national convener, Yasmin Duff, blamed the police for the protest violence. She said they used serious weapons like batons, pepper spray and rubber bullets on the protesters. From the video footage I've seen of those so-called peaceful protesters, I think the police would be justified in taking a firm stance, especially if, as suggested in some reports, that this has been going on for months. And Avi Yemeni of Rebel News said that it had only taken a year for the police to take seriously what he called these terrorist sympathisers. I have to just wonder what our police would be doing if the so-called peaceful pro-Palestine protesters in the UK kicked off in a similar manner. Handing out tea and bickies and offering free counselling courses, maybe. Our police don't seem to be able to confront anything unless their bosses, the Neela Starmer, the Home Secretary Yvette Cooper, or the London Mayor Sadiq Khan, can label them as far right. And can you imagine the SH1T storm if a far-right protester hurt a horse? But what do you think about the police's response to lefty violence in Melbourne? First answer is, they're not peaceful. Well, I'll take that away with and agree with you on that one. Not peaceful at all. I did see that they were piling into some poor guy's business. I think he ran a restaurant or stuff out or something outside, and they were lifting all these chairs and trying to build some sort of barricade or throw them at police or something until the police arrived, and then they legged it pretty quick. They target media. Yeah, obviously, I'm not quite sure why the Australian media appears to be different to ours. I mean, over here, the media get almost fated by the lefty protesters because our media appears to be on their side all the time. Remember the BBC being caught out with all that bias? Yeah, that's the sort of thing. Yeah, compare Sky News Australia to Sky News in Britain. I remember looking at Sky News in Australia and thinking that's a completely different company. Well, it is technically, but under a completely different leadership. It's weird, isn't it? True, Jeff. I think so too. Otherwise, I wouldn't be saying it. Thanks. Yeah. So the police brought it on themselves, no sympathy whatsoever. Well, yeah, they have been quiet, I think, in Melbourne with some of these protesters, and maybe they let things slide too much, just like they have in the UK. We've yet to see what could happen here, although I do worry about it a bit. Oh, yeah, and don't forget that a lot of these decisions are taken well above the sort of street police's pay grade. It's well above that. It's almost become a paramilitary setup where there's the bosses and then there's the workers. Everybody forgets that each police officer has to swear an oath themselves individually to uphold the law, and it's all why they've got a warrant card to do that. They've had to make an oath. We see that seems to get left behind as they all get together in a group with someone in charge of what they're doing. I'm not sure I like it that much, but maybe it needs to be done. Or maybe we need to go follow the French route and have a completely different force for riot control, although that would get expensive. Yeah, I do have sympathy for the police officers themselves. I think they get put into a position, and I do go and have a chat with them when they're out and about with these dues and they're policing them. And if, you just approach them in a non-threatening manner, just have a quick chat about the weather and that, and it's all very nice and pleasant. So I do have a lot of sympathy for them individually, but it's the sort of the when they get together, they have their own mob mentality. Yeah, so capsicum is what makes chilies spicy. Yeah, that. So they put it as a powder into something, and I think when it hits things, it just explodes a load of powder everywhere. Yeah, it is. It's not racist to tell it as it is seen. Yeah, that should be very true. Everybody should be able to say just about what they like, and they should be able to debate all these things. And it's not racist to debate things, but that's how they shut down debate. That's how they shut down opposition, by just pointing and shouting racist in very, very loud words and accusing you of all sorts of things, which is completely bonkers. But a lot of the time they get their way because we let them. We know the WEF puppets. Yeah. Maybe there's not so many of them in Australia as there are here. Although I think we'll find hopefully in the coming few weeks that the WEF puppets find out that things aren't quite going as they seem to think they are. Yeah, the masked ones could actually be undercover police, more of a sort of a training day. Yeah, I always do have my suspicions that this could be the case, or they could be MI5 types doing the same sort of thing, special branch, whatever it is. I don't know what they all are these days, but they could be there thinking, well, let's do a bit of agent provocateur just to see what we can do. It will be good training, yeah, for future use. Yeah. Yeah, what worries me, though, is when I've been to a couple of events, there's always the same sort of people there. They're usually dressed in black. They've got a hoodie on or a big hat of some sort, woolly hat of some sort, with a mask, black mask. And they don't like having cameras in their vicinity. And you just wonder how they got there. Aren't the police by now used to seeing those types of people? Wouldn't they stop them and have a quick search? Really, I don't know how they get in or allowed to move about in what is almost a uniform, a militia uniform. And militias are outlawed in the UK. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to march about in, like certain BLM people did a few years ago. It's illegal. So I would think that the police would at least make an effort to stop them getting in, just in case they are going to kick off in some way. Thanks everyone for coming in. Please help get Jeff's message out and like the video. Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't say that enough. In fact, Richard's always on my back because when I'm making a video, I never say like, subscribe and comment below and all the rest of it. I used to, but when I looked at the analytics for the videos, I found that most people skipped through that nonsense. They do. They skip through it. So spending your time saying like, subscribe, watch and follow and all this sort of thing, people then go, oh, I'm scrolling on, can't be bothered with it. But yes, thanks. But thank you very much for helping. Always from the river to the sea, children of Palestine will be free, not dead. No, so that's someone, I don't know. From the river to the sea is a genocidal term. It means the destruction of Israel. That's what it means. So when people start chanting that, a lot of them don't even know which river and which sea they're chanting about. But that's what it means. That's all it means. The total destruction of Israel. And I'd hate to think what that meant to the people who live there right now. Oop, let me just press the button. Oh. I was regarding the pro-Palestine Hamas in the UK, I think that is. They target YouTubers who are filming. Media is being targeted by the pro-Palestine Hamas supporters. Yeah, I actually got into a pro-Palestine march in London and just walked along minding my own business. And it was quite funny because a couple of the policemen looked at me a bit strangely as I was walking along, just filming with my little camera. Everyone else around me was ignoring me, so obviously I'm not as well known as I thought I was. I swore to protect Crown and Country and the people. If an officer told me to point my SLR at a British citizen, it would have been turned on him. When it's wrong, you make it right. veteran. Absolutely, there are such things as unlawful orders. And using certain things and certain techniques and certain organisations against the people of Britain itself should, or if it's not illegal, it damn well should be illegal. In America, you can't do it. You're not meant to be able to do it. For example, as I understand it, the FBI operates within the country and the CIA can't operate within the country, although I'm led to believe that there might be some very loose interpretations there. But as far as I'm concerned, that the police should police by consent, and we should not tolerate people letting people into this country who want to destroy us, who want to change everything, because that's the thing that causes the division. Not us. We haven't changed. It's everybody wants to change us. That's causing the division. If the government need to clamp down on ordinary people, they send their attack dogs out to cause chaos first. Yeah, that would probably be favourite. Go out and try and sow the chaos first. But they normally do that by legal means, by passing stupid laws that divide people. And that has been prevalent in this country for a long time now. And, part of that is, I did a video this morning about the way a prison report from years ago said that the prisons have been full and overcrowded since 1994. 1994! And that report was written in 2010. And it's 2024 and still nothing's changed because the Uniparty are not doing anything about prisons. They're not doing anything about stopping crime. They're not doing anything about it at all. They love it. They love it the way that we're sort of divided by all these issues. And that's just one thing. The prisons are absolutely crumbling. And no one's done anything about it for 3 or 4 decades. Sick and tired of these protesters disrupting Melbourne just about every weekend I go into the city. Yeah, I think that's what Avi Yemeni was on about, basically. I hadn't realised that it's been an ongoing blight on Melbourne, but it seems a lot of people, having read some of the threads on the Twitter feed, they were saying that, they've just fed up with it, and it's about time the police got tough. Well, the ordinary people need to make their voice heard with their politicians and vote them out at the next election, whoever they are. They can't psychologically break us and never will. Yeah, that's the thing. When you read books like 1984 and you watch other films of these dystopian futures, they've always broken the will of the people somehow. But I think we're a bit tougher than that. We always seem to come through. And I think that's going to prove to be the case in places like Iran, where the people are really they're sort of slowly fighting back against what is in actual fact a minority government. But it is hard, and they try all the tricks under the sun, bread and circuses, and then scaring us all to stay at home. All the rest of it, the tricks are being used, but gradually we catch on and we adapt. And I think that's the big thing, especially about the British. We do tend to adapt, although we keep it hidden for a while before we do anything. Yeah, and I might well be doing a video on some of this later on today, if I can find the time. From the Mersey to Kirkby. Well, there's a thought for you. There is no river. I thought there was. The Jordan River, River Jordan. But I might be wrong. Jeff, you're misrepresenting the river to the sea. No, I'm not. It's the River Jordan to the Mediterranean Sea, and that means they want Israel gone from that entire area. It means the destruction of Israel. That's it. I'm seriously thinking of seeking political asylum in Russia, despite the propaganda saying that Russia is losing the Ukraine war. Yeah, Putin's made the offer, hasn't he? Go across and live in Russia and and live more like maybe we used to. I don't know. I've never been to Russia. I've never been allowed to go for most of my life when I was in the forces, because if I'd gone over there, they'd have instantly arrested me on my return. But I don't know. And the Ukraine war, you can read all over the place, and everyone will tell you a different story. Even the two commentators in the same newspaper in the UK will tell you a different story about Ukraine, about who's winning, who's losing, and who's got the most casualties and all the rest of it, who's got the most tanks today and the most missiles tomorrow. It's you'll never find out, because that's half the problem with warfare. During the Second World War, most people were fed, basically a load of rubbish. The only people who knew what was going on was the ones when they got that letter, that telegram through the door, telling them that something nasty had happened to their son or their husband or their father. That's when people find out. Can someone clarify, please? Is the protest the 26th of September or October? October. 26th of October. That is the day. Okay? So, if you can, make your way to London peacefully. Go with friends. Take your camera. Take your phone. Take lots of images. Take lots of video to protect yourself as well as other people. Because if you're filming and everything's peaceful and they come after you, you can say, well, here's the proof. You need to protect yourself these days from all those people who would like to do you down. But you're protected. You'll be protected. There'll be loads of people there with cameras. And as long as you're all nice and peaceful, they'll have no reason to do anything at all. Okay? Yeah. If there's anything goes on, it'll be the agents provocateurs, and we can just ignore them and let the police deal with them. Yeah, there's never any excuse for attacking the police. No point at all. It doesn't do anything, because the press will be there. The press will be there filming the police, because they want to see them snatch us, if you see what I mean. That's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for us to do something horrible so that we can be snatched. If we don't do anything, just walk along and chat and all the rest of it, and have a sing-song or whatever it is we're doing, then it might be a peaceful, it might be a silent march. I don't know. But if that's what we're doing, whatever we're doing, just stick to the route, be nice, and no one can hurt us. Right, the whole country is crumbling. Yes, I think we are sort of crumbling bit by bit. Our infrastructure is crumbling. We've got to send all our money elsewhere, you see. Other people around the world deserve our money more than we do, obviously. So we have to pay for all those reparations for our forefathers who went and did what everybody else was doing in the world at the time. So yeah, it is just silly. We need to stop spending so much money abroad, and we need to look very closely at what we're spending in this country. We're pouring billions upon billions upon billions into public services, and what do we get in return? Very little, in fact. A lot of people who are waiting for a doctor's appointment, they can't get one. Why? If you call the police, if a shopkeeper has some shoplifting going on, they call the police, they probably won't turn up. What's the point in paying your local police rates and your council tax and all the rest of it if you're not going to get the services? And that's what really annoys me. And now they're going to get the council tax 25% for pensioners, or not for pensioners, for single people, taken away. I reckon that's what they're going to be doing. They're going to take away that 25% knock off on your council tax for people who live alone, knock it up to full 100%, and then waste that money as well. So and the bus passes for the elderly, that looks like those might be going as well, and they're supplied by your local council. They're paid for out of council tax. So that means they'll have more money to waste on their woke projects. They obviously haven't got enough diversity officers hired yet. So we've got to save a lot of money to hire diversity officers, got to book a load of hotel rooms for you-know-whos, and all the rest of it. And now we hear that prisoners, if they're homeless when they come out of these prisons, having been let out after only 40% of their sentence, they're going to be housed in hotels as well if there's no local accommodation. And if all the others are going into the available local accommodation, where are people who need housing, local people who need housing, going to actually go? I suppose they'll be issued with tents. From the Irish Sea to the North Sea, etc. England needs to be free. I think it's a bit, you should just say from the Channel to the ocean, because it's the English Channel right the way across to the ocean when you look at England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland, and Ireland, Southern Ireland, if you want to include that as well for the whole of the British Isles. But yeah, I get the idea. From the Channel to the ocean, the UK will be free. Yeah, need a different word for free. If we want it to rhyme, that is. Yeah, 1994, a report was released stating the prison system was at breaking point, and it's been coming for a long time. How the hell has the prison service managed? When you think about it, it's a bit of a testament to the people working in it that it hasn't melted down within the last 30 years. It's come close. We've heard it's come close. There have been some incidents where prisoners have been able to escape and maybe they shouldn't have been able to. But that's weird. I mean, it should have gone belly up before the turn of the millennium, given the reports that some of the reports I've read, unless of course they're reports that overstate the problem to try and get more funding. I don't know. You just don't know who you trust these days, do you? Is it the person who writes the report, the person who reads the report? Does anyone go and actually have a look at these prisons and make a mind up for themselves? You know, a minister saying we need to do something, the Secretary of State being told, then the Prime Minister being told, and then they just turn around and say, is it going to get me votes? No. Is it going to look racist? Possibly. Oh, right, we won't do it then. And that's just about the sum of their thinking. Anyway, that's just me rambling on. Nothing racist about patriotism. No, there isn't. If you're a patriot, there's nothing racist about being a patriot and loving your country and loving people who love the country as well as we do. It's when people come in and say, we don't love your country, we don't even like you, but we're going to live here anyway and keep needling you. We don't need that sort of division here. Anyway, I've got to be going in a minute because we are thinking of doing another vid and in a while, and I do have a meeting in between online type thingy. So if we catch up with you later, it'd be great. And thanks very much for taking part and listening to my ramblings, and might see you later on tonight. Thanks very much for watching.